Hey friends, excuse me. TeresaLouise here. Thanks for being here. Geez, I cannot talk today. Maybe I should just close and start all over again. So welcome. I know there's a couple of you here. Thanks for being here. And let's see. And get my computer working. Today we are, hello Jean, how are you today? I'm okay, I just can't talk. Should be an interesting day. Yeah. Should be interesting. We got a new project. We're going to start. I'm going to start it. In fact, I've got quite a bit of it cut up already. I gave you guys all week some cutting instructions, so hopefully you've got some cut up too. Hello, Susan and Moxie. How are you today? Hi, Donna. Welcome. So glad you're here. So right now I'm just cutting up strips. I'm going to keep doing that while we wait for a few more people to come in. And so this is a new Friendchip quilt that we're going to be doing. This is the one we did last time. And the new one will have, it'll be basically the same, except for it's going to have sashing and cornerstones that are actually stars. So, yeah, it'll be a little different. And I'm going to do mine red, white, and blue. And I think that's, well, I think there's a little bit of tan in there too, because I am using a jelly roll. So, hi, Mary. Welcome in. So I have about a yard and a quarter of white on white fabric that I'm going to use for my stars, and that's what I'm cutting up right now. And I'm just doing 2.5 inch strips. And I'll give you all of the cutting information here in a few minutes. Hi, Helen. Hi, Polly. Oh, thank you. That's really sweet of you, Helen. That is very kind. Very kind. Hello, Brenda. How are you doing? Oh, you changed the K, you put KY in front of your name, didn't you? I just noticed that. But I recognize your picture, so that helped. Is the KY for Kentucky? I hope you and your family are all doing well during your difficult time. All right, let's see. I'm trying to keep these counted correctly. We'll see. Good. Not much going on around here. I'm sure most of you know I got the scrappy quilt all done. That was the bonus quilt. That's all done. And then I got the layer cake on point quilt all done. Wow. 2 quilts tops in a week. I think I'll faint. And we'll see how long this one takes. I'm hoping only 2 Sundays, but who knows, right? If we do some sewing in between, you know, like during the week, we should be able to get this done by Sunday, next Sunday. The quicker we get it done, the sooner we can get it quilted, and the binding and all that, in case you have somebody you want to give it to, which I do, so. But I do have until August. So beautiful, beautiful day out here today. And went out and helped Brandon with some outside chores. And let's see, yeah, got to be outside for a while. And that's about all I did today. That's about all I've gotten done. Yeah, I do too. I hate it anytime, Brenda. It's a tough situation. That's for sure. All right. So, a couple of things I'm going to do before I get to sewing is see how many bobbins. Oh my goodness. I have used up a lot of my bobbins on this last 2 projects. So I have used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I used 5 bobbins in whatever's in here. And I probably should go ahead and oil this. Oh, that one's pretty full. And I should probably clean it out a little bit. Let's see. We got this thing. I don't remember where. One of the boxes. It looks like a makeup brush, you know. It's pretty soft. I don't remember what box I got it in. I can't imagine the sew sampler. Ah, Primitive Gatherings. But it is so soft. It probably would make a good makeup brush. It is pretty. It's, you know, pink. And I like it comes with this mesh. Keep that protected. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I don't know where I did with my other cleaners. Hi, Braca. Hello, Norma. Hi, Marla. Hello, Gloria. Hi, Valerie. Happy Sunday, everybody. Um, sometimes it does not pay to move stuff around and organize because then you can't find it. Ah, this will work. Not too bad, really. Kind of need a flashlight. Oh, you're welcome. I figured I'd better do it a little bit because I've been using the machine so much. And I need to make some more bobbins because with all the sewing I did last week, that's 5 bobbins that I've used. So oil. All right. Now I'm going to run some bobbins really quick. And I will talk about the new project. So the new project is a new Friendchip quilt. It's going to be similar to this with the Friendship stars in it. The new one I'm going to do is going to have sashing between each large block. Okay. And also it's going to have corner stars that are, or corner squares that are stars. So we'll have extra stars in it. Okay. So you're going to need a jelly roll that has 42 strips. This is going to be 12 blocks. Okay. 12 blocks. So the instructions I'm giving you will be for a 12 block quilt. All right, so hopefully that's not too loud. Okay, so you're going to need the jelly roll. And then you're going to need, I would go ahead and grab a yard and a half of an accent fabric, which will be used for the stars and for the sashing. Okay, so about a yard and a half. And Then you're going to need probably a quarter of an inch or quarter of a yard, quarter of an inch, quarter of a yard of another accent fabric that is going to be for your cornerstones. And I think about a quarter of a yard is all we're going to need on that. I actually haven't cut that yet and measured it, so, but that's my guess. And I'm going to use I think I'm going to use the darkest blue I can find for those stars. Yeah, more stars is good. Hi, Mona. Oh, is Brenda? Brenda, are you going to do a channel? Videos and stuff? That would be cool. Okay, I'm just going to do one. I'm just going to do one bobbin. I'll do the rest later. You guys don't need to sit here and watch me do bobbins. Somebody's going by, so Will is barking. Hi, Joyce. How are you doing? You ready for another friendship quilt? All right. That's good enough for now. All right, so from that jelly roll, you are going to cut 4.5 by 2.5 inch pieces. And from each strip, you're going to get eight pieces. And from each strip, you're going to get 2 pieces that are 2-inch squares. Okay? So these are what they call potato chips. All right. 2.5 by 4.5. And then you should get 2.5 square from each strip. 8 from each strip and 2 from each strip. Okay, so I have all mine cut up. And they're ready to go. Okay, then if you're going to do the sashing like I'm going to do, you will need, I hope you're writing this down. You will need 23 that are 16.5 by 2.5. So 23 strips that are, 2.5 by 16.5. Now, I'm not sure what the next measurement of this is going to be. I need to do a test piece. So this part is a guess. Right now I'm guessing 1 3/4. And that's going to be for our little teeny stars. But I don't know for sure. So let me get some test fabric and we'll see what that's going to be, okay? And then I'll know for sure. But in the meantime, you could go ahead and start cutting up your jelly roll because you're going to need all of those pieces. So if your jelly roll does not have 42 strips, find some other fabric, you know, it's with a fabric. That's what I had to do. I had to look around for, well, I needed 4 more strips. So I just went through my stash and I found this fabric right here. And I felt that it goes good enough with this. So luckily I had yardage of this, so I just cut 4 strips and then cut it up. And then I'll just mix it in with all the other stuff. So it doesn't have to be the same fabric line, as long as it, you know, passes, right? As long as it matches well enough. All right, I need some test fabric. I'll be right back. It doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter what test fabric you use, but I will tell you what I'm doing. Okay, so on our sashing strips, we're going to want to put the star points on there. And so what I'm doing, and maybe somebody knows this already, I need to figure out what size these little squares need to be, because they're going to be sew-and flips. But I can't use 2.5 inches. So I know they have to overlap a little bit. So, and I like them to overlap at least 1/4 inch. So I think they're going to be 1.5. Does that sound right? Yeah, I think 1.5. Okay, I'm going to try 1.5 instead of 1 3/4. I think 1 3/4 would be a little too big. So this is kind of how I figure things out. I just do a test. And, you know, you can throw these away afterwards or, you know, whatever you want to do with it. So I'm going to cut it off so it's a little long here. Okay, I'm going to cut a couple just in case. All right, so there's that. So I have a couple of pieces. So I'm pretending that these are my 16.5 inch strips that are my sashing. All right, now I'm going to cut a couple of 1.5, 2, 3, so 3. Yeah, I was counting to myself. So I'm going to cut 1.5 inches. First of all, did anybody say anything? Yeah, my square, Joyce, I'm not talking about the squares. The squares are still going to be 2.5. I'm talking about the star points that are going to go on the sashing. Oh, you did, Mona. That's funny. Yeah, so some of these squares, 2.5 inch squares that these that came from our jelly roll, these are going to be part of the cornerstones. So they're going to be a variety. They're not going to be solid. Okay. But the sashing is going to have star points on each one. So that's what I'm talking about. Oh, you did yours the same? Okay. I get you. Well, that was a lot of overlap then. All right, well, we'll see. I'll try both. How's that? And then we can decide what we want, because maybe this might be too small. Okay, so I'll cut out a test for 2.5. That'll make them pretty big. All right. All right, there's one. Right, I got you, Joyce. Yeah, your square that goes in between the sashing has got to be the same size as the sashing. Well, I didn't. I didn't go over to Williams. I was too tired. After I left your channel, Mona, I went and put a pizza in the oven, and I ate, and then I was just totally exhausted. So I didn't go over to Williams' channel. No, I went to bed. I went to bed and listened to a book And yeah, that's what I did. All right, so this one, I'm going to do a test just because out of curiosity, okay? And then you can decide how big you want your star points to be, okay? All right, so we'll do one. This, now remember, we're pretending. We're going to do one that is going to have the same size star points as our sashing, and one that doesn't. All right, so in order to do that, let's draw a line. Let's draw a sewing line from corner to corner on the diagonal down the middle of the block or square there. There's that one. There's that one. Okay, and I'll go ahead and do it on these little ones. This is, I actually think 1.5 inches on top of a 2-inch might be a little too small, but we'll see. Really depends on how you want it to look. All right. So this is Memorial Day weekend. Did anybody have something going on for today? All right, so I'm just going to, wow, did that really work, Joyce? That's a lot of overlap there, but okay, I'll go ahead and try it. Whoops. Oh boy, I'm having quite the day. I'm creative. I don't know. You watched all of Mona's and all of Williams? Yeah, I was watching, but I was watching on the TV, so you went for about an hour and then lost steam. Pam would like to know what your channel is, Mona. There, right there. There you go, Pam. Yeah, go. Mona is a lot of fun. So if you're not subscribed, definitely need to go over there and check her out. I mean, look at her channel name. Mona did what? Okay. So I guess I really need to fix my thread on my sewing machine. Oh boy. One of those days, ladies, one of those days. Luckily, it's pretty easy to do on this sewing machine. And if you have this type of sewing machine, or actually any sewing machine that has a needle threader on it, it's so much easier. I do two things. Number one, I push on the cut thread. Why do I do that? Because it adjusts this foot back up to the spot that it's supposed to be. All right, so that's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is I put the foot down. Put the foot down and then use the threader. Whenever I try to do it any other way, it doesn't work. And even on my Viking, I do the same exact thing. Even though the Viking is more automated than the Brother is, I still do the same thing. I hit the cutter so it puts the foot up where it's supposed to be. And that's just to get my needle in the right spot, because that's the important part. You got to get the needle in the right spot. And so once you do that, cut your thread, the needle goes where it's supposed to, and then the threader is right where it's supposed to be. So that's tip number 1 today. Okay. And then tip number 2 is whenever you put a new bobbin in, do a test. Make sure everything is working properly. Looks good. Okay, now I can sew. Here we go. All right, so I'm doing the 2.5 inch test first. All right, and so now I'm going to flip that over, make sure it's lined up and it's lined up well enough. And then this is what they call a sew and flip, because I sewed and now I'm flipping that piece over, right? Flip it over. But I need to cut off this extra. So I'll do that. Now I have a half square triangle. Send that to Brenda. I got a bag of stuff going for you, girl. All right, now, so you make sure that's ironed down, or now I'm going to do the other side. Yeah, that's one big, it's going to be pretty big. Okay, go ahead and flip it. Well, it doesn't look too bad, really. I'll see what I'm going to like better, because I am still going to try the 1.5 inch. Okay, so there's my test. So that's going to go on the sashing, right? but it's going to have another star in there, or a square. Well, actually, the square is going to be on this side. The square will be on this side. It might be better to have the bigger. All right, let's see what the smaller one looks like. Oh, well, that's not even going to work. That doesn't, yeah, well, okay, that'll work. I had it the wrong way. Okay, but I think 1.5 is too small. Definitely, without even sewing it, I think 1.5 is too small. It does overlap, but not quite enough. So, see the difference there? So, I think it would have to be at least 1 3/4. So, I guess the question is, do you want your star tips to be little like this or bigger? I think bigger. Okay, so I'm going to go bigger. So thank you, Joyce. My vote is bigger. But you can do smaller, but I would do at least 1 3/4 instead of 1.5. Okay, so that means I change this to 2. Okay. Get your pencil back out. Oh, good. Good, Brenda. Glad to hear it. Hi, Jamie. What does Joyce say up there? Have you tried just how I showed you, Joyce? That's how your day went too, Mona. Kept messing up. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm missing a lot. That's what happens when I'm trying to show you something. Oh, Marla Brookside by Corey Yoder. Nice. Oh, um, Joy says what? Now I can't remember what I asked her. I know I said thank you. All right. Oh, was something in here. Oh, I said, you said you couldn't get your Juki to auto thread? Is the Juki kind of like this style of machine? And did you try what I just showed? Hit your cutter so it puts your needle in the right position, and then put your foot down. Yeah, I'm making stars for the cornerstones. Yep. Or you can make these into stars, the cornerstones into, so they're little teeny stars. You could do that if you want to. So this will be like this, like you'll have a sashing coming um, horizontal, right? Sashing coming in horizontal like this. And then you'll have a sashing coming in vertically like that. And like this. Okay. Then you'll have your cornerstone, which will be right in the middle. But each one of these sashings will have the stars tips on it. And then that'll give you your 4 tips, star tips. That's what I'm going to call them, star tips. And so that's what it'll kind of look like. So personally, I like the bigger ones. Instead of the little ones. The little would be okay if the sashing was smaller. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's the what we're going to do with the sashing. All right, so let me move all of my practice. I guess I can send all that to her, to you know who. Shh, don't tell her. All right. Just get all of that out of the way. All right, so now I'm going to tell you what you need. So these blocks, there are what I call units. There are 4 units in each block, and each block has the Friendship star in it in the middle. And it is 16 and a half. That's why you need your sashing to be 16 and a half. And you can use whatever color sashing you want. I'm using white. Well, actually, it's a white on white. Okay, so get your pencil out. So you needed the jelly roll. That's 42 strips. You need 42 strips. You're going to get 336 chips that are 4.5 by 2.5. You're going to use all 336 of these. Okay? You will get 8 of these out of each strip. That is, each strip is going to be 2.5 by width of fabric. You should be able to get 8 of these from each strip, and 2 that are 2.5 square from each strip. Okay, then for the blocks, you're going to need, I already told you, you needed 336 of the 4.5 by 2.5, and you're going to need 48 squares that are 2.5 inch squares. 48. Then you're going to need 48 2.5 by 4.5 accent fabric for your stars. Okay? Did you guys get all that? Yeah, I didn't see Susan on Thursday either. I looked. Oh, you tried everything, Joyce? Okay. Maybe maybe the little needle on the threader is bent. Like, get a magnifying glass and see if you can straighten it out. Okay, great. I'm glad you got it. All right. Thanks, Daraka. Thank you, Linda. Hi, Kathy. Oh, Susan had a little nap. That's why she wasn't on. Okay, so you got those measurements. Now the next thing, if you're going to do the sashing, you are going to need 23 that are 2.5 by 16.5. Now, you can make your sashing any size you want to, but I'm doing 2.5 wide, but it does have to be 16.5 inches long. Okay, so you're going to need 23 of those. You can't find her at all? Well, somebody put Susan's channel link in there for me, please. So then for the cornerstones, you're going to need 20 cornerstones. And if you use the leftover from cutting your strips, you'll have plenty. Because for the blocks, you only need 48. And then you'll still have leftover too. So you're only going to need 20 of these. But you're going to need to cut more fabric for the star tips, because you're going to need 92 for the tips that are 2.5 by 2.5. Okay, so I still need to cut that. I still need to cut the 16.5, and I still need to cut my 4.5 by 2.5 stars. Okay, so that's it. You got all that? Hi, Jess. Hi, Kim. Hi, Crystal. Hello, Suzanne. Okay. So now I need a drink. Just have an iced tea. All right, so I cut 1.5 yards of my background fabric or accent fabric into strips, and I'm going to cut all of my 16.5s that I need out, and then with the leftover I'll cut my 4.5s. So there's, I think I can cut 3 at a time. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and I will cut off the slashing. Actually, I want to use that other ruler that doesn't slide. A lot of activity outside today. Okay, there's that. Now I need the longer one because I need 16.5 inches. Sixteen and a half. And I just do not want the ruler to slide, so I'll just put a little weight on there. Okay, so that was 16.5. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strips. And it looks like I'm going to get, yeah, perfect. 4.5 by 2.5. Okay, so you should get at least 2 that are 2.5 by 4.5, and those are going to be your Friendship stars inside the block. Okay, and what did I say you needed? You need 48 of those. Oh, that's 6. All right. So I just got to keep track of what I'm cutting here. That's the trick. Keep track of what you're cutting. All right, cut off that selvage. Usually I do the selvage the correct way down on the other end, but all right, 16.5. So that should be 12, because I had 6 and 6, right? Yeah. And I can get 4.5. I don't. And there's 12. All right, so just keep on going. Keep on cutting. Um, well, yeah, I guess I am brave. But I've done 2 of these Friendship quilts now, and every time I'm pretty sure the block is 16.5, right? Now I'm worried. Yeah, they're 16.5. You had me worried there, girl. All right. Well, I would just say if you're going to pre-cut your sashing, make sure you have your 1/4 inch seam down, right? That you can sew 1/4 inch consistently. Otherwise, yeah, wait until you get your blocks done before you cut your sashing. I look at it this way. I can always use this fabric somewhere else if I mess up. Or I can cut it off a little bit if I need to, or add on if I need to. Okay, so I got, that's 3 cuts at 6. So there's 18. So I only need 5 more. All right, so okay, there's 18 of those. That was your problem? Yeah. Oh, you trimmed all yours down to 16? You only went 3 hours last night? Was that on Williams? I fell asleep. And after I ate dinner, I was just too tired. I'm still sore from doing the lawn mowing and the weed eating. I need to start getting more exercise. I say that every day, but okay, so 6. I better only do, what's 4. Yeah, I only better do 2 because otherwise that'll be too many strips. Okay. Okay, so that's 18, 22. And that's 4, 6. All right, that's 10. Now I got to put these little ones in piles of 10. Okay, that's 6, 2, 4, 10. Otherwise, I'll be all messed up. Okay, so I just need one more by itself for my 16.5. So should I do my star points or tips, star tips, dark blue or a mixture, like dark blue or dark red, a little bit of both? What should I do? 16.5. And there's the last one of those sashing. Now I can just start cutting all the 4.5. So I'm going to set that aside. So I started out with a 1.5 yards of this accent fabric that I'm using for my sashing and my Friendship stars. So we'll see how many, if we can get everything we need out of 1.5 yards. Okay, 4.5. All right, how many is that? 3, 4, and I had 4, 5, 6. Somebody keeps honking their horn out there. Okay, there's another 10. So I got 30 so far. But how many do I need? 48. There's 4. Eight. Now I'll just open these up. 10. So that gives me 40. See how I'm stacking them? I stack them in 10s so I don't lose count. Okay, so that's enough for a 2.5 inch square. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Might as well cut it now. I don't need it for this project, but I'll put it with my other squares that I have. Right? Might as well cut it now. Don't have to do it later. All right. Last two. The sashing is 23 that are 2.5 by 16.5. 23. That gives you 15 strips that are on the horizontal of the quilt and 8 that are on the vertical. Not that you care about that, but that's how I figured it out. So, any other questions so far? Once I know I have all of this right, I will put it in the on my channel post over in the community tab. I'll put in a supply and cutting instructions in there so you guys all know. Let's see, 4. Okay, 4.5. I just wanted to make sure that 1.5 yards is enough for the sashing and the Friendchip stars. Okay, so there's 4. I think it is, but eight. See, I only need 2 more. Yeah, so it's going to be plenty enough. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that's all I need. 8, right? Yeah, 48. Okay, so there's 48. So I don't need any more of these. So yeah, 1.5 yards is way more than enough. So I have a little, like 3 extra. I would say 1.5 strips. Yeah, and what I mean by that is the strip was 2.5 by width of fabric. So I had probably 1.5 extra that I cut. But I'm going to keep it with this project just in case I need it. Right? Okay, so I got my 23 2.5 by 16.5 inch strips. So I'm just going to put those in my box. And I have my 48 2.5 by 4.5 inch potato chips for my accent for my Friendchip stars. Okay. I also have all of my strips cut from my jelly roll. You need all 42 strips. So if your jelly roll doesn't have all the strips you need, go through your stash and find something that will work, because you will need all 42. So you're going to get 36, or not 36, 336, 2.5 by 4.5. You're going to get 126 squares, but you only need 48 of them that will go with your friendships, and then 20 that will go with your sashing. So you'll have leftovers. So you could use these for your star tips if you wanted to, but there wouldn't be enough. You still need to cut more. So I still need to cut star tips, which I need 92 that are 2.5 by 2.5. Okay. Well, I don't know, Susan. The one without sashing is, so I guess somebody can figure it out if they want. The Friendchip quilt without sashing is 48.5 by 64.5. I could do the math, but I'll do it later today. Okay. I could tell you that, let's see. I could kind of figure, I can give you a rough estimate. Okay, so we know that this quilt behind us is 64.5. And 48.5. And I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 extra 2.5 inch strips. So 7.5 inches. So that's 10. Okay, so, and then I'm going to have 1, 2, 5 inches extra. So, without taking the seams into account, I guess I should have done it without the, it'll be around 53 by 72. So not that much bigger. Well, you could skip the sashing if you want, Kathy. Hey, Jaja, how's it going? Hey, Geraldine. So that project sheet that Mona just put up, that's to this quilt that's up there. So that's without the sashing. Okay. Oh no, that's okay. No big deal. Makes me use my brain. Math is good, right? Okay, so I haven't picked out how many. Now I want to know this. Okay, here's some more math. So I told you you're going to get 126 2.5 inch squares out of each of your jelly roll strips. Okay, so 126 And we needed 48 up here, 20 there, so that is 68. Okay, so we'll have 58 left over. So we have 58 left over, but I need 92. So I need 34 more. 34 more. Now I could go look in my 2.5 drawer, scrap drawer. Because I think I'm just going to go ahead and make them all scrappy and not just one color for the tips. Right? Yeah. And that way, it'll still use up all of my jelly roll plus more of my scraps. You see how I'm thinking now? Because so far, all I have for scraps is right here. But I'm going to have a whole bunch of sewing flips. A whole bunch. Okay, Norma. Thanks for being here. It's good to see you. All right, I'm going to go get my scrap drawer. Hey, Willa. How's it going? All right, let's look through this drawer and see. Now I'm going to look for scraps that will go with this fabric that I'm using. Those are all 2.5-inch squares that I've been saving. Some of them are half square triangles. Because one of these days, I'm going to sew them all together and make a 2.5-inch square quilt. And these are a lot of these squares that came from other projects that I've done over the years. So it'll be kind of like a memory thing, right? Okay, so I'm just going to get a few of these out and so I can kind of match up Now, I do have some red, white, and blue fabric over here, but that's pretty close. That's a lot brighter red. These are not 2.5 inch squares yet, but I think that'll work. Yeah. I'll use these. Okay, and then let's see what else I have. I also have some strips in here that still need to be cut down. Okay, nothing there. Let's see. There might be some in here. This is kind of Civil War fabric right here. Let's see. Ooh, yeah. This might be better than this. Yeah, it kind of goes better with that, so. There's a blue I can use. So I guess I'm kind of glad I kept all these scraps, right? That one. That one. Okay. That's kind of a solid, but that's all right. Okay, there's. I did have some of these little already made up ones. Some of these are already sewn together to a light. Yeah, all this stack is all sewn together. This one's all sewn together. Because I was doing leaders and enders. All right, let's see if I have enough here. Pull these back. So what did I say I needed? 34? 34. Okay, so all of this can go back in there. Or I could mix it up a bit. Let's see. Now these colors are a little brighter, so I'll use those on something else. Okay. So there's the 34 I need, so I should be good. All right. So I have all my fabric ready. How about you guys? I think my sashing will be scrappy, but all the same color. Not sure yet. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead. What time is it? 3:30? I think I have time to sew one unit together of the block. Let me put this up. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so for there are what I call a unit is part of the block. Okay, you could even call it a block if you want to, but that makes it confusing when I say I need 4 blocks in for to make one block. So that's why I call it. And a lot of patterns that you see will say make this many units, make this many units, make this many units. Okay, so I'm going to call it a unit. Just make it clear. You can do it however you want to, Crystal. I'm going to make mine all scrappy. Um, so all the stars that are going to be in the sashing are going to be scrappy, but the stars, my friendship stars, are going to be all white. All right. So for each unit, you will need 7 of these, 1 of your accent, and that's for your star. Okay. And 1 of your 2.5 inch. Okay. So you need 7 of these. So I'm just gonna, mix it up, right? Just want to mix it up. And then your accent is going to go in the lower right hand corner. And I know it on there, it looks on the left. Sorry, it's a YouTube thing. We went through this last time too, but trust me, it's on my right hand. Okay, so that's what it's going to be like. As long as it's always in the same corner, I think you should be okay, but lower right hand corner is where your accent piece should be. Okay, so how you sew this together, first of all, you need to do a sew and flip. So go ahead and draw lines on 48 of these. What I do with my little ruler. So draw a diagonal line, corner to corner. And this is going to be, I had to double check. This is going to be sewn so that it's on the left hand, upper left hand of your accent piece. You're going to sew from the upper left hand corner down to the lower right hand side. Okay? Now when you sew these, just write this down. Don't look at the picture on there. It's not going to help you because I can tell that it's showing the everything backwards. All right, so the upper left hand corner to the lower right hand center. And this part up here is what's going to be cut off. So when I make my sewing stitch, I don't sew right on the line. I sew right on top of the line. Just right on top of that line, okay? That way, when you flip this over, you'll get a more accurate line up of your piece. Trust me on that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and sew it right on top of the line. Okay, so that's pretty good. Right on top of the line there. All right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so you flip that over. So that's why they call it a sew and flip. Flip that over. Press it down. I think I will use the iron. And you can check and make sure you're nice and straight, because this would be the time to fix it if you need to fix it. Okay, and then you're going to flip that back over like that and cut off the excess, which is a half square triangle. And you can keep that if you want, or send it to a friend. And that's my friend pile. Okay. So there's that. I'm going to have to see if I can fix this YouTube thing so you guys get the correct angle. Maybe Katie will go live with me. I need somebody with Zoom that can push it onto my channel. All right, so then next, oh, good, Brenda. Glad to hear it. Brenda said she's going to be sewing this one. And yeah, I'm going to love the extra stars too. Okay, so first you're going to sew your middle pieces together. Okay. So go ahead and do that. Press that. Yeah, I need to move an iron over here for sure. I'll press that. I might have room over there for my little ironing board. All right, so that goes the long way. This is the long way. Not this way, but this way. Right there. And then you're going to sew a piece to the top. Okay, so a piece to the top. Now, once you get the hang of this, you could chain piece, and that'll make it go so much faster. Okay, and then this is going to go on the bottom. Okay, I just moved my iron a little bit so I could reach it. That's a good stretch. Stretch that back. Okay. Now, these two pieces that are, you're going to sew them on the short side. So they'll be nice and long, right? Sew them on the short side. And your accent with another chip also on the short side, but you know, on the part where you have your sew and flip. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead. Oops, I got two pieces there. So I am just going to go ahead and sew it. And my 1/4 inch is a little less than a true 1/4 inch. I would say probably like a thread less. Okay, I'm going to press that. And you want to press this one. All right, so I should have used a different pattern. I think I will. I think I'll put it that way. All right, so now you have these 3, and you're going to sew this strip that you made onto the left hand side. The thing I like about this block is there really isn't any seams that you have to nest. Remember what this block, what this unit is supposed to measure? I think it was 8. Eight, and how come I didn't write it down? Well, we'll find out. I hate all these loose threads. That drives me crazy. Alrighty, and then this one goes on the right hand side. Remember, your accent with your sew and flip is in the lower right hand corner. Lower right hand corner. And it needs to be that way on all of these units. Okay, there's that. You decide which way you want to sew that or press that, because you don't really have any seams that you have to match up. All right, I'm going to press that again real quick. Now you could square this up if you need to. Yeah. So it should be 8.5 square. 8.5. Okay. I don't know why I didn't write that down last time. So 8.5 square. Which this ruler is exactly that. Looks good. Thank you for the thumbs up. Done. Check. Okay. So that's what it should look like. Now you need to make, for the 12 block quilt, you're going to make 48 of these. 48. If you want to do this quilt, only make it 9 blocks, you're only going to need to do 36. Okay? 48 of these. Remember, this is in the lower right-hand corner, and it's going to be the same way for every unit. This is a unit, and you need 4 of these to make 1 block. Well, hi, Mama Harden. How's it going? Oh, I'm sorry. I do not starch pre-cuts like a jelly roll, charm packs, layer cakes. If I need it to be 2.5 inches, I do not starch a jelly roll, because as soon as you starch it, then it's going to shrink and it's no longer 2.5 inches. So no, I didn't starch any of this. Well, I did starch my accent fabric because it was yardage. So if I have yardage, I do starch that. Okay. It is really easy. It is really easy. Well, I'm really sorry to hear that, Mama Harden. Sending out prayers to you. Yeah, that's that. So, any questions on this block? So once you get the hang of it, you can, sew away. I kind of try to do things in batches, So because I need 48 of these for these units, pick out the 48 and just go ahead and, get lines on them. Put lines on the back if you do that. I prefer to do that when I do sew flips, because I want to sew on top of that line. Really, try it. Try this as a test. Get some scrap fabric. Try it as a test. Do one where you sew right on the line, and then do one where you sew on top of the line. And what I mean by that, top of the line is the top is on the outside of the piece and not the inside. The top is the part that you'll be cutting away. And just that much of a difference, because you have to take in consideration the weight of your thread. If you're sewing right on top of the line and you're using a 40 weight thread, that thread is going to bring your fabric back a little bit, because even if you even when you press it, it's still going to be a bump there, and that bump is going to make your fabric shorter because it's got to go over that thread. So that's why I sew on top of the line. Plus, I only piece with 50 weight thread, so that's a little bit thinner, which helps. And so on top of the line, that pulls that fabric over a little bit further, just that little teeny bit, and then that helps make sure that all your sides are lined up the way they're supposed to be. I hope that makes sense, what I'm trying to tell you. So you can get your lines on these. Actually, you can do 48 for your units, and then 92 for your stars tips. Hi, Donna. How are you doing? Hey, Giovanna. Can you, well, you can start pre-cuts if you want to. I just don't. Unless I'm going to be cutting the pre-cut up, like, let's say if I have charm pack and I only need 4.5 inches square, so I'm going to be cutting it up, then I might starch it. Typically, I don't. But if I have a jelly roll and I need the strips to be 2.5 inches, then I definitely do not starch, and I do not use a wet iron or, steam. I use a dry iron, and because I don't want it to shrink. Now, I, when I'm pressing this unit, or even when I do all the blocks, I'm going to use a dry iron too, because all of this was a pre-cut, or most of it is a pre-cut, and I don't want it to shrink up. So because I've got everything cut, for one thing, if I used a bunch of steam now, then the sashing that I cut earlier, that is 16.5 inches, is going to be too big, because this is going to shrink. You know what I mean? And you would be amazed, and I think you should test it. Just go get yourself, grab some pre-cuts and your starch and a steamy iron. Measure your pre-cuts first, and then starch them and press them, and then measure them and see what you get. And the other thing is, try it with different brands of fabric, like Moda, Riley Blake, Art Gallery, Tilda, Tula. Try it with all different kinds, because they all shrink different. Okay, bye, Gloria. Okay, are there any other questions in regards to this project? Yeah, I would definitely still measure them, Joyce, because on the pre-cuts that have the pinked edges, you need to know where that measurement is. Is it on the top? So the top of the pinked edge is called the mountain. The inside of the pink edge is called the valley. So where's your measurement? Is it on the edges, on the mountaintop, or in the valley? So you need to know that too. Oh, thank you. That is so kind of you. We will definitely be saying some prayers for you. I'm very sorry for all that you've been going through. I think I might eat, because this quilt is going to be a quilt of valor, and I know that, well, I don't know for 100%. Let's say 95% sure that it's only going to be guys that are going to be here in August. Um, the Marines. I'm going to use a dark blue, probably navy for the binding instead of white. When I first started out sewing quilts, I bought a lot of pre-cuts, a lot of them on eBay. And luckily, I found a good seller on there for pre-cuts, just because I thought it would be easier to start out with. And I got like charm packs for like $4, $5, and they were all Moda. And they were a little bit older, like 2 or 3 years older. They weren't current um, designs, but so I got them that way. And then I also bought them through Missouri Star Quilt Company. They used to have really, really good sales, like, $20 for a layer cake, stuff like that. So yeah, I just thought it would be easier not to have to cut. Um, but it turns out you got to cut anyway, right? For most of the patterns. I think dark blue will work just fine. Hi, Diane. How are you doing? Okay, so I guess no more questions then. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. All right, so that's this quilt. This I'm calling it. It's still a Friendchip quilt with sashing, and mine is going to be, like a red, white, and blue type theme, because I plan on donating this quilt um, in August to the Marines that come here. I'm going to do this is what I'm planning. We, every 2 years, we do a raffle quilt for our sewing group. And, you know, during Elk City days. And we have a parade on Elk City days also. And there's a bunch of Marines that come up here from Boise, Idaho, and they carry the flag, you know, through the parade. And they always uh, buy tickets for the raffle quilt, but I don't know if any of them have ever won it. So my plan is to do a separate raffle quilt for those guys. Yeah. And I mean, if I could, I would give them all a quilt, but I don't have time for that, you know. Anyway, I'm going to do a separate raffle quilt for them. And there's usually like six to 10 of them that come here. And so then I'll draw a name at the end of the parade, and then they'll have a quilt. That's my plan. A tunnel rat. Oh my goodness. Scary. I just feel like some of them have been coming up here for years, you know. They have friends that live here, believe it or not, because Boise's like 6.5, 7 hour drive away. So I just thought it would be a nice thing to do. Uh, a thank you. I don't know what it was, but I can kind of guess. This, Diane, is called a Friendchip star quilt because it's have you heard of the potato chip squares, or not squares, but they're rectangles? People call them potato chips. So we're sewing those together, but as a variation to that, I made it to where it looks like it has a friendship star in it. So that's why I call it the friend chip. He would go in tunnels and defuse bombs on things that, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. That would be scary, Susan. Yeah, a potato chip with a twist. A potato chip with a star. Alrighty. Well, I don't think you guys have any more questions. Well, this will be a lot of fun. I'm going to keep sewing it. And once I get one block put together and I verify that it's 16.5, then I will put this new recipe, this new pattern or supply list up in the on my channel over under post in the community page. I'll put it up there for everybody. Okay. Oh, Rita said, I just did a potato chip one I called potato chip with a twist, but does not have a friendship star. Nice. How do I decide color placement? I just try to do something contrasting. You know, some people just shake all their parts up and just as they pick and put it together and make it scrappy. I tried to do that, but like here, I wouldn't put the same color next to each other right here. So you just want to try to balance some dark. I probably should have put a light right here, but I used this one as my light on this side. But in the camera, they both look about pretty dark. So I probably kind of messed up on this one. I should have put this in there and that over here. So just do what looks good to you. Yeah, so I'm using a jelly roll. You need the whole jelly roll, 42 strips. Bye, Susan and Moxie. Thanks for being here. All right, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and go. I think it, I need to look up what the Quilt of Valor quilt measurements are. It can't be any smaller than something or something. So, I mean, you could get it there. If this is too small, you could get it there by adding bigger borders. The horse doesn't look any different than last time. But yeah, I could show you. I took the nose off. Yeah, chips are 2.5 by 4.5. Yep. Oh, yeah, it does look different. Okay, I'll show you. Okay, we have a request, folks. Let me go turn the light on over there and I'll come back. It's partly covered up. Okay, I'm going to pick the camera up on 3. 1, 2, 3. It's a mess over there. It's partly covered up because of the changes I made to it. In fact, I might work on that this afternoon. So I didn't like the nose and lips. So I took them off and then I drew my own pattern. As you can see. Let me tighten this down. I drew my own. And now I just have to redo it. So, there you go. I still also need to do the mane and some of the eyeball and that nose. All right. Okay, I think that's going to be it. So let me just look and see if I can get the chat. Oh, hi, Elaney. Yeah, no, right. No such thing as a mess in the craft room. Oh, okay. Thanks, Brenda. 68 by 80 for a quilt of valor. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, hope you feel better soon, Rita. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go, you guys. And thanks so much for joining me. It was great to see you. And I'll just let you look at that horse as I say goodbye. Goodbye. Have a great rest of your day. I'm going to a parade in the morning for Memorial Day. So I'll see you next time. Probably come on during the week when I can. So bye, Brenda. Bye, Geraldine. Goodbye, Kathy. Bye, Giovanna. Okay, I'm out of here. Until next time, go make something. Bye.